There be light, and there was light. So we are continuing the position of the gods of Genesis. Yes, and right into it. Okay. Um, so we were talking about the divided God and Mother Eve. Of course, that's where we were at, and who stands sort of in the middle. Now I said, oh, it just flew. The divided God, Mother Eve. I had never said that before, I don't think. In fact, that sort of came to me very early on in the presentations. But then that's another attribute of Mother Eve. Yes. Now, divided, of course, is free. But I was doing this illustration of how Mother Eve really encapsulates all the gods in a sense. Well, that's what I'm intending to do if I haven't really done it as such yet. But in the word let, we see when Mother Eve casts her first spell. So she's casting the first spell with the word let. And I think, of course, like I said, the word divided in its sort of came through the words. So basically, if there is silence, for instance, if there is silence in a room and someone speaks, then there is a division of or a break in the silence. So the mere speech or sound of the words actually has divided the flow of whatever was happening then, because there's another flow happening. The flow of words and vibration is happening right there, and that, I believe, is very much an part of Mother Eve as well, being expressed in that divided. In fact, when I first saw that, I felt a little bit annoyed. Why would a God want to put division in anything? But it's that is the division is really a way of giving us or providing us with a sense of perspective or a sense of identity, in the sense of that we can identify different aspects of something, different flavors of a cake, so to speak. When you can identify the different flavors of that cake, then you could say, of course, you could use the word division. It's not actually separate from the whole, but it's actually in subdivisions of whatever is. I hope this all makes sense. Okay, so that's what I feel with divided, because we see it comes into the fourth or fifth verse of the scriptures, but also, as I say, it equals 3, and 3 is actually so dynamic. It's actually seeking to be expressed. It's this is where I've said in the first part of this video, is really saying free is like it speaks and it says W. So it speaks and says W. It says M, the M, it says free, and it says E. Of course, this is the 8-petal flower, and it coincides perfectly with Mother Eve's 8 lettings. There we see the word division here again, to say, or to be able to identify the separate lettings, the individual lettings of Mother Eve, when she says, let there be light, and there was light. Let there be a firmament above the waters, or in the heavens, to divide the waters from the waters, and so on. Or let there be the abundant, let there be abundant. I like this one. I think it's in verse 20, but it's like, let there be creatures of out of the waters, and that which have life abundantly, or something to that effect. So basically, this is where Mother Eve is more or less saying, my water has broken, and now I am ready to give birth to all these creatures that have life in. So that have life. In fact, I don't know why Mother Eve is now saying that half, like not just half, H-A-V, but H-A-L-F, like half-life. You know, that is Mother Eve. That is the kind of way Mother Eve would be really performing or acting, or because or half life, in the sense that we haven't lived life to the full. You could say that it's like children crawling, and this is where I say Mother Eve has taken the position of the serpent or the snake, rather the snake in that sense, crawling on the ground. So you have life, but you are not able to climb the tree, or you have not activated your pineal gland, or to that effect, to experience life to the full. So that half life, we could say that too. That's Mother. I believe I'm just doing Eve, Mother Eve right here. Okay, so but that which have life, whether it was, of course, because everything, in fact, the word life as well. So half life, the word life, as I would say, L-I-F-E, has in it the word lie. L-I-E. So that what I'm saying really does make sense. So that which have life, half life, it also have the lie in it, like being at the primal stage of your life. So you are just taking in information, which is flat. It has not been given rise to you. It's like it's often said, we just take in lots of information, we collect, we file them, and when we are in a position of needing the information, that's when we give them life, because we are putting them to use, you could say. So that is another way of looking at the aspect of Mother Eve, that aspect of Mother Eve when we speak of lie in the word believe, like Christ would often say, or the word belief. So many words, of course, which has the word lie in it. And so, but this is something that I feel is very profound for us to grasp the essence of it, in the sense that we are talking about lie. There is something where we feel that we have been had, in the sense that we have been lied to, but it's equally important that we take the position of what is expected of us to give rise to that lie. What are we meant to do when we say give rise to that lie? What part are we playing, or what role are we playing or acting, and that which can eradicate what we see as lie? Because another thing, just consolidating this point here, is that Mother Eve is beginning and end. So basically it's the circle. Mother Eve is beginning and end. So wherever you start this circle, actually you are dealing with Mother Eve. It doesn't matter whether you started here, because wherever you begin, you end. That's the circle or cycle of life. But whatever is in here, whatever you put in this circle or within that cycle here, whatever you make of it, whatever you imagine of it, of this here, this is what you give rise to. So if you begin here, for instance, let's put it another way. I think this is perhaps another way of putting it, because I sort of did imagine before, there's another way, that you kind of suspend your body in here, your legs are dangling down here, and your head is here. You are having fun, but your butt is sinking in right there. Okay. So you are doing this, you are having fun here, and this is your north, south, east and west right here. And that, of course, you can stay in that position, but how long are you going to stay in that position for? To do anything, you need to get up of that position. Otherwise, your butt might sink in. But that is where you are doing the lie in here, because you are restricting yourself of whatever sense you can make of being in that position. So that's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is just what I was saying, wherever you start your journey, your life path, okay, you are ending at that point. And so you are left with all this other aspect, if you like, um, to make sense of that journey. Whatever you imagine at any stage here, there, or there, whatever you are doing in all this journey here, you are given what we call free will right there. But here, when you get to this point, it's beginning and end. It's already marked. You can't do anything about it. It is already written. So it is. Yes, beginning and end. And that's Mother Eve. So Mother Eve is actually I'm getting the aspect of the tail, the image of the tail of the serpent being in the mouth of the serpent. This is the point where we have no control over, and the tube or whatever else is this is where we have done all our or gymnastic or jazz or development and all those things that happen particularly in stages of 1 to 4, our north, south, east and west. So we have done this stage from this is where in 1 to 4 we do our jazz, we do the bucket, this is where we do our agreements and stuff with other people, and of course we try our luck, we do our development right there. But of course, as I say in the presentation of it's called An Introduction to Cry Queen. So if you watch that that video, for instance, you will see where I have explained the force that had held my hand from manipulating this side of the template. So I could not do anything with this side of the template. And that's where we see Mother Eve really comes very firm in these stages. It's like the template, it's like the ending or beginning and end actually happens at that stage. It really shows a different quality to the cycle of things that happens here. Okay, so back to the position of the gods. I'm going to try and keep my eye on the time as well, because it's nice to have a decent ending to the I was going to say to the scriptures. Okay, to the presentations. Okay, so we have seen a lot on the divided God. Another thing that we try to point out, of course, if we added, I have done that already. If we added Genesis chapter 1 and verse 5, or which we didn't do actually, with verse 5, for instance, that would give us number 6. Of course, that goes in perfectly with the said God. So we can see that the ripple, or we could see how there is a subliminal merging. There's a merging with the gods happening there, and all showing or reflecting Mother Eve too. Okay, so the God who called, now that's interesting, the God who called, as I had the God who called as the 6th God here, and called, of course, equals 1. So it would seem like the God who called is actually the first God. This is perhaps why it is always said, whatever you want, call it into being. The first thing to do is to call it. Now, of course, we see there is the power of sound and sound mind as well, or the vibration of calling, the power of the sounds. So that is really I think that really makes a lot of sense here. And of course, if we added 1 plus 1 as in chapter 1, then that would give us 2, just like it will with the word created, the God created it. So the God created and the God called have something very strong here in essence. They are sharing something very profound here with the number 1. And actually, I think that, yes, so as the first created, and of course the called God is actually one. Now it'd be nice to sort of go over, I know you may be wondering about these numbers here, but that is, those numbers are actually the numerical symbol for the word form of, say, one. So the word one actually equals 7, so that's why we see 7 here. So you call, when you call something into being, you are calling that 7, which is the 7 gods, you could say, or the 2 pairs of the 7 god, because this is what we are about. Again, we are of 14 gods. Okay, and we have the made God, which is the 7th god. The made God, of course, this is where on the 7, which is coinciding with the 7th day of creation. So we see here with the made God, and which I believe is Adam here. This was the making man in his own image and likeness, and made he and he him, and so on. So we see those here. And of course, we see the numerical value for the made God now is 5. Of course, what is 5 about? Mother Eve. I wish I was able to put this fruit on with this video. Perhaps one day I'll be able to do this, and to put picture or illustrate something that I want to in the video, because I would have loved to put the fruit, which is called physalis, I think it's called, if I pronounce this now. It's an orange fruit, but it's the wrapper, which reminds me of Mother Eve, because it's got 5 leaves, if you like, and these 5 leaves, of course, are in pairs of or in segments. Each segment has 2 leaves attached, or 2 parts of the leaf. And I thought that that is really Mother Eve. So there we have Mother Eve, because Adam, the word Adam actually equals 10. No, I think it does, yes, Adam. So yeah, that is 10. And so that also shows Mother Eve's aspect or attribute of, or in Adam. So that is 5, but 5 and 5 is 10. So this is where we could say the light come out of the dark, and so on. We see that the fruits or nature teaches us quite a lot, in essence. That's what I'm saying. Okay. And so made here is actually is the value of 5, and 7, of course, the entry. And if we added 1 plus 5, again, that would give us 6, just as, again, the number of man, because God made man in his own image and likeness. There we see the number of man is 6. So this is what we are talking about, the position of the gods, where if we add the chapter with the verse, it gives us that kind of, it correlates with what we are saying here. And likewise 9, sorry, I say 9 because my brain is already adding 1 plus 8 as in the numbers for Set. Set is really, in fact, because my life path number is 8 as well, I am seeing the rigidity to some extent in the word Set, because it is in the 17th verse. So this is where perhaps I have to, and that reminds me, so these are not the verses at all here, so I'm just going to clarify this, but this is the order of the gods, how they come, how they show in the scriptures, because the word Set actually is in the 17th verse of Genesis of chapter 1, and of course when we add the verse 17, 1 plus 7 is actually 8. Now, of course, and the word, as we say, it is 8, S-E-T is 8, and it appears in a number which is also 8. So I think, and it's the 8th entry, of course. So you can see how Set is really firm, and really, it's like the pattern, and again, the pattern that of the 8-petal flower, which is coinciding with the number 8, we can see how all that correlates with the 8th phase that Mother Eve is now presenting us. The 8 lettings that Mother Eve has explained to us, the 8th cycle, the 8th cycle which we are now in, which is a 7-year cycle. So of course we ended the 7-year cycle on where God, Mother Eve said, let us make man in our image after our likeness, and now we are setting the parameters for this man that we are to make. And so we are invited to be co-creators with that man. That Mother Eve is saying, let us make man in our image after our likeness. That is the key that we are working, or that is the frame that we are working towards. Okay, so the other thing that is very important for us to note, that the gods now, the 9 gods that I have outlined in this first video, and this is the second part of the video, the 9 gods here, of course including the God who ended, the God who caused, the God who formed, and the God who breathed, and the God who planted. I love the God who planted, because I think that's what we are doing now as well. So I am loving the spirit of planting. Of course, I'm a nature person, because being Taurus sign, I really have a strong affinity to the soil, to the land, and so planting is my middle name. Okay, but we do this in it's not just figuratively, but we are planting, like I say, we are planting new seeds in our ideas, in our goals and actions, and so on. Now, the other, I love to say now, so if you hear me saying now like 100 times, I think it's a very positive thing, because saying now brings me back, or it's always presenting me with the present tense of whatever is happening, meaning Mother Eve is quite present with me, and I love it now. Okay, right. Right is 8, so that's good too. Okay, so what we have, let's see that with the numerical value, the word ended actually equals 5. So here we see, if we were to put all the 5 gods together, then we could see how many gods that we have in line of, we still have 14 gods, but we could see how they tally basically. So the move God equals 5, so we could have alongside the move God, we could have made, the made God, M-A-D-E. Oh, my pen, I feel sad that my pens are drying up. Okay, but I won't waste much emotion of sadness on the dry pen, not if I've got something else. Okay, M-A-D-E, and we also have ended, E-N-D-E-D. Okay, right, and then we have, these are the 3, I think it's 3, yes, so we have 3 gods with the numerical value of 5. There we see 3 5s of 15. Now the 15 of course coincides with the middle section, which is the red section, which is called new. Now that is new. Now I am thinking, I have been seeing this new section here. Would that denote, does it denote the second creation? As we have been saying, that's Mother Eve. When you are in Christ, you are a new creature. So we see this 5 here. Or is that 5, like I said before, it's does it only pertain to the 5 senses? No, we have seen, of course, it's very occupied with the 5 senses, but it also leads us, because Mother Eve, being a serpent as she is, sneaky if you like, or cunning if you like, uses the 5 senses as the pathway to teach us how to get to activate the third eye, the pineal gland. So that is very crucial for us to see and understand. Hence why we have the fifth dimension and the eighth dimension are one and the same. Oh, this is juicy. This is absolutely delicious. There we are partaking of the fruit that Mother Eve is really wanting to share with us. Again. Okay, so another thing that we can do here, so we have deleted the ended God right there. Then we have the cause God, which is 2. So we will find a God, of course, which is the created God, which equals 2, and have the caused God alongside, C-A-U-S-E-D, alongside the created God. So the created God and the cause God, they have something in common here. In fact, they both begin with C. There are 2 C's. If that makes sense. There's another thing that they share in common. Let's see. The created God is of 7 letters, because that's another thing we're going to do. The letters, meaning it's to get down to the nitty-gritty of the ABC of the gods. That's what I think is important. We may never be able to do that, but I believe that it has been so orchestrated to allow us sufficient information to get us to where we need to be. Okay, so one is of 6 letters and one is of 7 letters, and if we add this together, that is 13. Isn't that the incubation that we are talking about? Okay, just looking at the same concept with the God who made, so made and moved. Let's see, so moved has 5 letters, ended is also of 5 letters, and made, of course, is 4 letters. So this is 14 letters. Of course, 1 plus 4 is 5. So we can see what is happening right there. This is Mother Eve right there. Okay, so the said God is number 6. Okay, and we have formed. So we're going to delete formed, and we'll have formed is working alongside the saw God. Yes, so formed, F-O-R-M-E-D, which is 7. Okay, and we have the breathed God. Now the breathed God and the planted God are both 9, so they really stand by themselves. Yes. So basically, Set is not moving out of that position. So let's do this here. So we'll have, oh, there's another thing here. We have the blessed God and the divided God are also sharing the same position. So basically, we move the blessed God from that position of number 9. And alongside the divided, so this is where I'm saying that the word bless, B-L-E-S-S-E-D, remember it has the word less in it, L-E-S-S, and of course when there is a division, one could also say, well, there is less of something, or less of an opening, or less of the space of an opening, but the word less also is there. So we see the B as in the 13, of course, like I mentioned, Genesis of chapter 1, verse 3, or it wouldn't be verse 3, it is the value of 3 here. So of 3, that would give us a beehive. We could see that is present here. Okay. So if we were to just quickly count these numbers here, the numbers of the letters, how many letters here? I hope this is not too far for you to see. So this is 6, 7 letters here, and 2, 4, 6, and 1, 7. So this is also 14. We can see that that is Mother Eve right here again with 14. Now, again, my earlier videos reflected a lot about the number 14, because we saw with, of course, 14 gods, and of course with the teachings of Christ, Christ also equals 5. We know in Genesis of chapter 9 of in Genesis in in Matthew chapter 1, I believe it is chapter 1. Of course, the word Matthew equals 9. So we see Matthew is the beginning of the second, the New Testament. And of course, Matthew is giving the eulogy of Christ. And so it's like Christ came from a generation of 14, the lineage of generations were 14. So we can see 14 is very, very significant. Many teachings highlight the number 13, of course, but we see even with the mythical story of Osiris is really who was chopped in 14 pieces. Of course, there was the 13 pieces scattered around, and the sister or his sister found the 14th piece. We see that that correlates with the story that Christ, of course, being 13 at the table, but dying and raising again in the second life as the new man. That coincides with the new section on the template. It is the death and resurrection. So when we get into the new section, this is the resurrection or happening or taking place right there. And I believe that's what Mother Eve also is teaching us about the resurrection. When you are in Christ, you are a new creature. When you are in Mother Eve, you are a new creature. When you are in Mother Eve, you are a new creature. Whatever is happening there in the Eve, meaning whatever is happening before an event takes place, that is really you are doing Eve. That other event is to rise, take your rise and be activated. Okay. Keeping my eye 32. Of course, 32 minutes, because 23 and 32 are really are one and the same. Okay. So we are looking at for number 9 we have the breathed God, BREATHED, and the planted God, PLANTED. They both equal 9. So this is what we are seeing here, how this is really giving us a picture of how the 14 gods are really 9 gods, or they work as 9 gods. Of course, when we say work as 9 gods, we can see how they work in partnership. I believe there is more to that as well. I believe that they, for instance, we see the God who called, of course, may have had something to do, of course, with the God who created. Now we have, again, I'm seeing 3 C's, gods that, of course, their function begin with C's. So I'm seeing created, caused, and called. And again, I would like to continue this and see and make mention of the verse that they show, and the verse of the chapter that they show, and to see how what pattern that arises from that. Okay, and already I think I did have a pattern here when I did this. You could see that the divided God, of course, as I say, these numbers here, which I really want to do, okay, I'm going to do it here. So for the created God, for instance, who has the numerical value of 2, of course, the word TWO is 2, 5, 6, and adding this together is 11, 12, 13. 1 plus 3. So we can see the power of 2, as I have spoken a lot on 2 in the templates to numerology on Crime Queen. So we can see that this is where the agreement begins. There's an agreement where 2 comes together. There would be an agreement. They come together. It's 2 together and they form a bond. So this is the first agreement we have right there, in accordance with the layout of the gods here in Genesis of chapter 1. We see we end up with the B. The first thing that we have according to the calculation here, in that created God, there is a bee, there is a beehive. So in the beehive, the God who created, he created, we could say the word read, but as I say, let me really confirm that that creation was not an original creation, it was a reaction. It was a creation done on a reaction of whatever was already there. So there was already the word read, meaning the word already did exist. There was rat, there was eat, there was et, there was crate, there were tear, to cry, and there were and there's dear, D-E-A-R, when we write a letter or approach someone, and so many other words. And the word air, E-A-R, is there as well. So quite a lot of words that this consists. So those were already there, but that was the beehive of all. It consists or constitutes the beehive right there. So when we do the numerical value for the word for, F-O-U-R, of course, we end up with, so this is the 4 we are talking about. So 2 actually gives us 4. And I won't do all of this now. I just really want to show how the pattern has evolved. So when we do the numerical value for the word moved, which is 5, the numerical value for 5, it gives us 24, so that gives us 6. Again, the words 6 gives us the word 6, the word, we are dealing with the words now, it gives us 6, 16, 1 plus 6 is 7. And the word 3, of course, gives us 11, 1 plus 1 gives us 2. The word called, I think it's also 16, but I have 7 here. In fact, let's just do it to ensure. So C-A-L-L-E-D, so this is 3, 1, 3, 3, 5, 4. Adding this together, there we have 9 plus 9, 18, and 1, 19. So, oh no, this is no, I'm meant to be doing 1, the numerical value for 1, because we are dealing with the word form of the numerical value. So 1 is 7. And I hope I have done, yes, 1 is 7. So it's 6, 5, 5. This is 16. 1 plus 6 is 7. Okay. Yes, that's okay. So again, now we have 5 as we have done there. That gives us 6. Just to show you. So this is 6, 9, 4, 5. Adding this together, this is 10, 19, 24. 2 plus 4 is 6. And again, keeping my eye on the time. So we have 6 is here. And for set, the word set, of course, gives us 8. 8, E-I-G-H-T, is really 31, which I have done before, 3 plus 1. And if you take note that of all the number 13s that have that has really showed up in these presentations, now number 8 is really reflecting the reverse side of 13, which is 31. So that really is telling us it's like a sea wave that goes out and it and comes in again. It's like out and in. It's like that cycle. It's like the right here, it's like the sea wave goes and back again. This is what is happening, and this is the cycles that we are doing. Okay, and that's what it, really number the set, it's a set, so it's a set of waves, we could say, is happening right there. And so 31 of course is 4. Now what I really want to point out here is we have got a pattern here. of the sea wave. In fact, I didn't quite see that's what was happening, but we are in flow. So we have 2, 5, 6, and then we have, no, sorry, this is not where we're at. We have 4, 6, 7, and here we have 4, 6, 7, and there's 2 and there's 2. So let's do this again. So it's 2, 7, 6, 4, and then we have 2, 7, 6, 4. In fact, I am glad that I'm doing this again, because when I did it before, of course, I had some calculation that wasn't really giving, had not shown the pattern, of course, as it really is there. But we can see right here, if you had any doubt whatsoever that the Bible is really a mathematical construct, these 9 gods right here is really showing, us the proof of it being a mathematical construct that has a pattern, and it consists of a pattern to really show us that there is much more to all the scriptures than we had previously thought. So just to highlight, 2, 7, 6, 4, 2, 7, 6, 4. So these are the 8 Latins that Mother Eve was talking about. Of course, that is on 8, but I have not on the 9th. Sorry, I have taken away the 9th setting, because the 9th setting is really from the 9th, which is the God who breathed and the God who planted, which equals 9. So we have planted, or let's do breathed, put them in order. B-R-E-A-T-H-E-D. So breathed, of course, they come in from the Genesis of chapter 2, but we can see how they have taken place. It's as if there was one of the gods, it's like one of the gods had fallen out, almost gives, falls in the, it almost, in fact, it gives the, it gives the impression of Satan falling out of heaven, put it this way, and of course onto the earth, as the story we have been told. Because of course from the 9th God in Genesis of chapter 1, there we see that of course the God who was number 9, who was the blessed God, has tallied with the God who divided right there. And so we have for number 9, we have breathed and planted. So they are the gods who took the position of the ninth God. And the 9th God, so there we have the story about Satan had fallen out of heaven and taken with him 1/3 of the angels. Of course, 3 9s or 3 3s are 9. So we could see 9 is divisible by the number 3, which also coincide with the number blessed. Now, in Genesis of chapter 2, I think there's also the word bless, or the blessing comes there as well, and we will see how the other gods reflect in Genesis of chapter 2. So basically, I was saying before that Mother Eve is about showing us how to eat from 1 to 8 right here, because that set is happening there. But it's in Genesis of chapter 2 we know, or we learn about the God who breathed and the God who planted. So this is where we see this is a new era, or a new creation is taking place here again. That's and this is birthing. So number 9 is birthing newness right there. It's the beginning, or with breath, of course. This is where man became a living soul. So this soul, of course, is where we are planting in that hole again, where I'm talking about the serpent is curled again. So I hope this all makes sense. I may have to, of course, to go over this again, but I'm really pleased that I'm able to really map it out in a way that I think is comprehensive. So if it's not pretty clear, feel free to let me know. I'd be happy to go over it again. And of course, as I say, I feel that we will be covering this again. Okay, so thank you for watching, and these are the 9 gods of Genesis now, and that coincides with the 9 planets, including Pluto. Of course, I believe, yes, I believe, but the 9 planets right there. So we are, I'm really pleased of where this is really taking us, and yes, and how the gods are working together. So we know the God who moved and the God who made and the God who ended is really on the number 15 there. And from, so it seemed like, again, from the number 2, which is the incubator, of course, which has the numerical value of 5. This is the talking about 3. Let's cover this good, because a third, this would be a third of the 9 gods. Or am I correct in saying that? Of course, this would be 3 of the gods. Let's see. Well, 3 out a third of 14. I don't know how we're going to do this, but it would be at least 4 of the gods. That would be or 4 or 5 of the gods that would be doing this other creation right there. So Mother Eve is about beginning and end, and we can see what we are occupied with here is those with the numerical value of 5, which is moved, made, and ended. That is ending, that is an end. And then we have breathe and planted, which is number 9. So basically we are